Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh, and welcome to Ahkam SOS, the show that discusses Islamic duties and practices. Now, this is a live show. We do take in your questions, so if you have any questions you'd like to ask, please send them in via the WhatsApp number. The QR code is right there in the corner. You can scan that, or you can text the number there below. If you're watching on Facebook Live or on YouTube, you can put your questions in the comment section, or why not give us a call live in the studio, 0203 515 0199, and inshallah the technical team will send you through and you can ask your question. I'm your host Mohsin Shah, and joining me is Sheikh Ali Ma'ash. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
How are you doing this evening, Sheikh?
Alhamdulillah, fine.
MashaAllah, very good, very good. Sheikhna, before we begin, we always discuss a hadith or a dua or some ayat or something. What do you have for our audience today?
Inshallah ta'ala. A'udhu billahi as-sami' al-alim min ash-shaytan ar-rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen wa sallallahu ala Muhammadin wa alihi at-tahirin wa la'natullahi ala a'da'ihim ajma'in. In the book of Al-Kafi al-Sharif, we have this hadith by the authority of Imam al-Rida alayhi salam. In a long hadith he says salamullahi alayhi, ما منا أحد اختلفت إليه الكتب. There's none of us of Ahlul Bayt, the Imams alayhim salam, in which people start to write to them letters. In other words, the Imam is being identified. This individual is the Imam of the Shia of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam in the time of the tyrants, of course. وأشير إليه بالأصابع. People point at him. So he is now the Imam of the Shia. Or they used to, the non-Shia would call them in that time Imam al-Rafida.
Yeah.
وسئل عن المسائل, and he would be asked about مسائل, أحكام مسائل, عقائد مسائل. They would debate with him, for example, because now he is the Imam of the Shia of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. وحملت إليه الأموال, and the people would send money to this Imam, like the zakat, khums, sadaqah, whatever money that people would send, gifts, for example, to give to the poor and so forth. So now the Imam is recognized that he is the Imam of the Shia of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. إلا اغتيل أو مات على فراشه. This Imam would either be killed by sword, like in Karbala happened to Imam Hussein alayhi salam, or on his bed, like Imam Hussein alayhi salam, to be poisoned. So when the Imam is being identified and recognized by the people, the government in that time would plot to kill this Imam, and they would, of course, be successful in killing the Imam in that time. So what Allah does and will do and did, حتى يبعث الله لهذا الأمر غلاما منا, until Allah would send a young man from us, amongst us, Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. خفي الولادة والمنشأ. He would be concealed in terms of birth and being raised as a child to be adult and so forth. So secretly was born and he was raised secretly as well. غير خفي في نسبه. But in his nasab, in his lineage, he's known that he is the Imam al-Mahdi, the grandson of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi from Fatima alayhi salam. Al-Mahdi bin Ali Muhammad. So the plan is by Allah Azza wa Jal that if he leaves the humanity with the Imam from Allah Azza wa Jal, they would kill him definitely. As they killed the Anbiya'ullah Azza wa Jal in the time of Bani Israel. As they tried to kill Isa alayhi salam, in which he was miraculously raised by Allah Azza wa Jal. بل رفع إليه. So Allah Azza wa Jal kept the Imam to be alive till today, until the day of which Allah Azza wa Jal would allow and permit for the Imam to reappear and save the world from tyranny and oppression, and fill the world with justice and fairness, inshallah.
Inshallah. Just a quick reminder to all our viewers that the phone lines are now open. You can send your questions via the WhatsApp number. You can scan the QR code, that will take you straight to the WhatsApp page. If you're watching on Facebook Live or on YouTube, you can put your questions in the comment section, or you can give us a call in 0203 515 0199, or if you're abroad outside the UK, you can just call the WhatsApp number below. It's not a problem. Right, let us begin with the questions that you've sent us. let's start with this YouTube one. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna and Sayyid. Alaikum salam. Can women remove their eyebrows? I guess they're asking about shaping. I'm not sure about removing it fully, but okay. If they fully want to remove it, can they do so?
In terms of the removing, I'm not sure, but in terms of cleaning, let's say, if that's known to be a zina and beautification, of course they have to cover it. Because the Quran says, وَلَا يُبْدِينَ زِينَتَهُنَّ. So any beautification on the face needs to be covered in somehow and not to be shown onto the mahram. Amen.
From WhatsApp, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. I've heard one famous Sheikh on social media saying that during the Prophet's time, the prayers were done at 5 separate times. He said, while it is allowed to combine Dhuhr and Asr and Maghrib and Isha like we do, it is better to pray their allocated time. This is confusing. Please clarify.
I've said many times with regards to this issue and subject about combining the salah. In the non-Shia sources, Sunni sources, they have this hadith that the Holy Prophet ﷺ, he joined the salah without any reason, because they said that if there's rain, for example, or illness or trouble, then you can join it. Because in the rain time, you can't go to the mosque and pray jama'ah, for example. Or if they are there, they have to finish quickly before it gets flooded, for example. Whatever reason, or the safar and trouble is difficult, then you can join. So they narrate that the Holy Prophet ﷺ, in such cases, he didn't separate the salah. Even without these situations. So with or without rain, he joined the salah. Sallallahu alayhi wa and of course, we have Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, because the second weight, Kitabullah wa Itrat Ahlul Bayti, the book of Allah and my progeny and my family, in which they prayed with the salah being joined. Yes, in one case you can separate them, and that, as I've mentioned before, that you continue with tasbihat, ta'qibat, mustahabbat, dua recitation from dhuhr till asr, that one, an hour and a half. You keep on your prayer mats, you do all tasbihat and so forth, and then you pray asr on its given time. But the asr starts straight after praying the dhuhr. Anyhow, yeah.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna from YouTube and Sayyid. Alaikum salam. Are cats najis?
The only two animals which are impure or najis are the pigs and the dogs. The rest of the animals are pure and tahir. Yes, the feces, the urine, of course, that would be najis.
Fair enough. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh and Sayyid. Alaikum salam. Can I pray in a room where there are pictures?
It's discouraged and makruh for the one to pray in a room where you have human or animal pictures. So best way is to cover them and then pray to remove this karaha.
From YouTube, Assalamu alaikum. Can I pray with a hoodie where there is a person or anime? Anime means cartoon, Sheikhna. Cartoon drawing or a picture of someone famous.
Again, if it's animal or human being, then it's makruh. Just cover and pray in that room.
I'll just change the top, put it back on later. From WhatsApp, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. I have a question on behalf of my friend. What is the ruling if a girl and boy don't want to get married, but the family is pressuring them for it? Even the girl's father and brother are forcing her to marry the guy. Otherwise, they will not let her marry anybody else.
In Islam, we don't have anything called forced marriage. The father needs to get the consent from the daughter. And that's what of Sunnah Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When Imam Ali came to ask for her hand, the Holy Prophet went and asked Fatima for her consent. And she kept quiet. And then he said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, sukutuha ridaha, that her quietness, silence means she agreed. So the consent of the girl is necessary and has to be gained in some way.
From YouTube, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. What to do if I'm not sure if I did pass wind while in prayer? Sometimes it's not obvious, or the intensity is weak and might still be counting as passing wind. Should I better repeat the prayer?
If you're certain, of course, your salah and wudu would be batil and invalid, you have to repeat them. But if it's just assumptions or, let's say, doubts, then you are in the state of tahara and purity. Because the yaqeen, certainty, should be the one in which would break your salah or break your wudu. certainty, yaqeen.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Now,
As-salam.
please give details about the jinn, how long they live, what happens when they die, and etc.
Of course, the jinn have their own world. We don't have much access to their world. The Surah Al-Jinn, the Holy Quran mentions that there was some kind of contact between the humans and the jinn. So it's a different world. They are more light of the creation. So they're not like solid substances or bodies, in other words, that can be seen. Like the malaika, who are also light creation of the creation. Light, let's say, in a way that we can't see them except through specific way and somehow, like the prophets and awliya and so forth. So they have their own hukum, of course. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسِ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. Allah says that I've created the jinn and the ins to worship me. So they have also ahkam, the halal, haram, and like us to believe in Ahlul Bayt, in Quran, in Islam, and so forth. You have a good jinn, you have a bad jinn. So yes, they have similar to us in terms of the taklif.
I heard, Sheikh, they have their own communities, they have their own
Yes.
majalis even. We have plenty of Shia jinns. Apparently some jinns were even there at Karbala when Abu Abdullah al-Hussein was there and so forth.
Yes, to support the Imam. Even the Malaika came down to support the Imam. The Imam said he didn't accept their support. I think 4,000 angels. Because they came in Badr and they supported the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They had the permission of the Prophet to support him in Badr, and they did so. But in Karbala, no, they had no permission to interfere into the battlefield.
Fair enough. More questions coming in. Just a quick reminder to all the viewers that if you do have a question you'd like to send in, please send it in via the WhatsApp. You can scan the QR code, or if you're watching on social media, Facebook Live or YouTube, you can put it in the comment section. I'm getting loads of questions right now. Here we go. From YouTube, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. Please give details. Okay, we did that one. Is it possible to meet or get to know the own soulmate, future spouse, and get rejected because maybe one might behave bad or scare away the person, even though the person is meant to be for one another? I don't think so, but Sheikhna, can you do it? Well, first of all, Sheikhna, in Islam, do we believe that there's such thing as soulmates, or that God had already created couples already in heaven and then they meet on earth and so forth? Is this true?
There's a narration which says that the souls before not the creation, but the bringing the human into this world, because we pass through different worlds.
Yes.
عالم الأشباح, أرواح, عالم الذر. So in those worlds, one of those worlds, that people who met there by their souls, they got to know each other. Then that's it. That's done. And those who were different, اختلف, then of course. So we have something, but in terms of what we see today, that the Quran says that we created like communities to know each other. So practically we have to work towards knowing each other and to communicate with each other regardless of our color, race, language, and so forth.
So the question here was that, if I meet someone and I think that person is my soulmate, but it didn't work out or so forth, is that possible? It happened because I've scared the person away, or I said something bad. I guess what they're asking really is that is it possible that the person I'm meant to be for has gone away but will come back, or something like that? What is destiny is destiny.
In overall, I can't really tell exactly the answer to this question, but in overall, the Prophet said that whoever comes to you and asking for marriage, then make sure that they have good akhlaq, ethics, and faith, and aqidah, and deen. So these are the most important reasons for giving someone's marriage. So otherwise, it's difficult.
From WhatsApp, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. I am running a shop, and I have non-Muslim customers who want me to sell them alcoholic drinks. Can a Muslim buy and sell intoxicating alcohol to non-Muslims?
It's forbidden, absolutely. No, you can't. Pork and alcohol, you cannot sell it even to those who would consider as permissible in the religion and faith.
However, non-halal chicken and non-halal beef, you can sell that to non-Muslims.
Yes, indeed, yes.
From YouTube, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna.
Assalam.
What are some Islamic acts I can do to face illnesses? Jazakallah khair. Some Islamic acts, Sheikhna, when we are ill, to help us get better and inshallah to get shafa'a.
Well, Islamic acts, you have ad'iyah for specific ailment. If you go back to Kitab Mafatih al-Jinan at the end of the book, I think in the chapter Baqiyat al-Salihat, it mentions there for each, for example, for stomach ache or I don't know, other parts of the body, or you have an issue, you recite that dua, and inshallah may Allah Azza wa Jal cure and treat your ailment, inshallah.
From WhatsApp, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. Why is it necessary to follow a mujtahid?
This question can be asked for all fields in our life. Why should I follow and go and see a doctor, a mechanics, an engineer, I don't know, agency, and so forth, for work, for property, and so forth? Because you go back to the experts in each field and try to find your needs and wants. The same applies to the mujtahid and Islamic rulings. You have to go back because you have no knowledge or very poor knowledge in Islam. So you have to go to those who know. As the Quran says, ask those who know. And the ulama would extract these ahkam from the Hadith, from the Sunnah, from the Quran, and they're experts in this field. As you go back to the doctor who would extract the knowledge of how to treat this patient, what medication to be used, operations, and so forth. This is aqli and rational ruling in which you have to go back to the experts to find your needs.
From WhatsApp, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. Do Muslims and Christians and Jews worship the same God?
In overall,
because we're known as Abrahamic faiths.
yes. I mean, the message of all the prophets of Allah Azza wa Jalla, from Adam to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is to worship one God, ilahan wahidan, without any partners. Now, of course, people came, they changed, they've fabricated statements, they've added to the religion other beliefs. Of course, that would be rejected. But the essence of these messages and messengers, the message that they brought is to actually ask people to worship one God, ilahan wahidan, laysa lahu sharik. That was the aim. قُولُوا لَا إِلَهَ اللَّهُ تُفْلِحُوا, as the Prophet said in his beginning of the da'wah, that say that Allah, that you may succeed in your dunya and akhirah, of course.
From YouTube, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. Is there anything wrong to ask a possible female spouse while getting to know each other what her weight is? She lives 6 hours far away and sent only a picture with her face. I think you need to go visit, young man. You need to go visit the person. But Sheikhna, when getting to know someone, sometimes, personal and intimate details are required. So should we ask these questions, which some people may find rude? For example, what is your weight? What is your height? How much money do you earn? Things like this can be sensitive to discuss. But at the same time, sometimes people need to know so that they can plan their future life together and they can understand what their future life is going to be like. And when it comes to looks and so forth, should we ask or should we just wait until we see the person and then we can judge for ourselves?
I mean, one should make sure that he or she chooses the right partner and spouse, because you're going to be living with this individual for the next 50, 60 years at least, if you're young. So, yes, do your best. Whatever you need, ask. Go and see her, for example. Talk to her. There's no issue with it, professionally, without any lust. And as I've said before, temptation, any feelings, romantic feelings. It's just a professional talk until you're satisfied, or she's satisfied, or the vice versa. And then you can, of course, go for the nikah contract if you want to proceed with more, let's say, relationship to know each other, for example, to go out, restaurant, coffee shop, and so forth.
From YouTube, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. And Sayyid, alaikum salam. Can we curse the enemies of the Ahlul Bayt? Of course you can, you must. But Sheikhna, can we curse the enemies of the Ahlul Bayt?
It's in the Quran about cursing the enemies of Allah Azza wa Jal initially, which are the enemies of the Prophet, which are the enemies of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. That Allah would curse them, and the curses would curse those individuals. It is Quranic, let's say, tradition to curse Allah's enemies. Try to type the word la'in in the search engine of the Quran, the Quranic apps, for example. You'll find several la'in mentioned in the Holy Quran. It's a Quranic akhlaq, in other words, to reject Allah's enemies in this way. La'an means to avoid rahmah to be and
removing mercy
to those individuals, because they've actually stood against Allah's message Azza wa Jal. They stood against the Prophet, they stood against Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. So they will be taken out from Allah's mercy.
From WhatsApp, I would appreciate if you could tell me the necessary conditions by which a person becomes mustati', financial and bodily capable. I'm asking this question because I really want to know whether or not I'm qualified for Hajj. Sheikhna, Hajj is arguably a month away, maybe 6 weeks away and so forth.
Yes.
So brothers and sisters, if you are going to Hajj, and inshallah you are given the opportunity to go to Hajj, you can send in your questions in regards to Hajj now if you'd like. And we're more than happy to discuss the niyyah, the rituals, whether you are mustati or not, and so forth. So please send in your questions. Sheikhna, yes, what are the requirements of that you are financially independent and you can go?
Yes, initially the first thing that comes is that you're capable financially. So you have the money to go to Hajj. So you have to ask how much would cost for you to go to Hajj from the UK, for example, from Europe, from America and Canada, for example. That's number one. And you've paid the khumus for this money. Bodily, you're capable. There's no illness, for example, that avoids you to travel and to be there and come back again. The route or the path towards the Hajj is safe. There's no danger, for example. The Hajj itself is actually open to the public, unlike in Corona time, which was closed, for example. I mean, these are the main ones. I mean, you can look for more in the Arsal Amali about more options about the criteria.
From YouTube, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. When a woman dies but there is no mahram to go into the grave to receive the body for the burial ritual, what should be done?
Of course, these masail have been discussed by the ulama. For example, I think this mas'ala was mentioned in one of the fiqh books, which I studied long time ago, that if a woman dies, they would wrap her with a, let's say, blankets, and they would pour the water on her, because there was no woman to wash her, for example. There are ahkam mentioned that they just have to, let's say, do as much as they can with this regard, because they can't leave her on the ground. The mate must be somehow buried inside the grave, and the lahid. It's difficult, with these masail, because you don't have a mahram in this regard. I mean, in terms of burial, for example, they shouldn't look, for example, at the body of the deceased, for example.
Fair. From WhatsApp, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. I wanted to ask, what are the questions that are asked in the grave?
Well, it begins initially by asking, who is your Lord? Who is your Prophet? Who is your Imam? And then, of course, in that moment, of course, one would be also asked about the amal he did from the day he became, let's say, mukallaf and baligh, adolescent, till he passed away. So what he did. So there's like a quick hisab would be done in that time of burial or after burial.
Fair. From YouTube, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. Sunnis get offended and won't concede to the denial and refusal by some Sahaba to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what can be done? Okay, I'm going to say that again for you, Sheikh. Now.
Yes.
Sunnis get offended and won't concede, so they won't give up their denial and refusal by some Sahaba to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Sunnis will not admit that some of the Sahaba refused the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What can we do?
Well, we have to bring our own evidence, and they have to bring their own evidence, and to discuss with respect, peacefully, in an environment in which there's no use of bad language or accusations, for example. And then we say, "Hatu burhanakum in kuntum sadiqin." Bring your evidence if you're truthful. If you have the truth, then tell us so we can follow you as well. If you have the truth, so we discuss, as the Quran says, "Wajadilhum billati ahsan." Use the best words, the best meanings to discuss with each other, because the aim is to guide, to get the guidance. Everyone needs guidance in this world today, so we don't want people to lose their path and go towards the hellfire. Na'udhu billah. The idea is to go to paradise. That's the aim and the objective and the fate of the human being, inshallah.
Sheikh, we're going to go to a short break, and now is the best time to send in your questions. If you have a question you'd like to ask, please send it in via the WhatsApp number there below. You can scan the QR code. Or if you're watching on Facebook Live or you're watching on YouTube, you can put your questions in the comment section, and the technical team will send them to you on my little handy iPad here. So we're going to go for a short break. So send in your questions now, and I'll see you after this short message.
I have a question regarding keeping pictures of scholars.
Is it permissible to plant trees by or over
Islam
the
established
graves?
based on peace and
Is it
non-violence?
permissible to collect donations for charity projects from
Is it permitted to consume canned food imported from non-Muslim countries?
Is there an issue for men looking at non-Muslim women?
To have your questions answered live, WhatsApp us on +44 7415 092155.
For those interested in an Islamic law book by Ayatollah Sayyid Sadiq Al-Shirazi, please WhatsApp the Ahkam SOS team at the following number to place your order today: +44 7415 092155. The Islamic law book, available exclusively in hard copy, contains religious questions answered by Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Sadiq Al-Shirazi. Order your hard copy today.
Yes, you can send in your name and address and so forth. Contact us on the WhatsApp number, and we will get you the Islamic law book, inshallah. The book discusses many, many different fatwa of His Eminence the Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Sadiq Shirazi, and furthermore, it is all in English and covers a lot of your daily interactions that you'll go through, whether it is finances, banking, sending children to school, growing up in the West, Muharram, Ashura, things like this. It's all covered, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna.
Alaikum salam.
Sheikh, we have more drinks coming in, more questions coming in, and the first one is about a drink from WhatsApp. Is it permissible to buy meat thinking that it is slaughtered according to the Islamic law from a supermarket owned by a Muslim who also sells alcoholic drinks?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We have bases or qaida in the Islamic fiqh that the market of the Muslim and the hand of the Muslim is hujjah, is a proof for being something being halal, meat or chicken. So you can trust that individual and buy from him. For them, selling alcohol wouldn't make that that they are actually selling haram meat, unless you, in somehow, you have some kind of evidence or witnesses that would say that he's actually bringing haram meat. Then you have to avoid, of course.
More questions coming in. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. Malaysia is a Muslim country. Do we need to ask each of the restaurants if they're halal or not?
Any Muslim country, which is known to be as a Muslim country, all they from Turkey to Malaysia, if they're all Muslims, you don't have to ask about the food and in terms of halal and so forth. It's all halal. You can just eat. As I've said, the Muslim market is a proof and hujjah being as a halal, so you can consume without asking or research.
What about Sheikhna, for example, there's a country, Albania. Albania is said to be a Muslim country. However, you will find alcohol, you will find pork, and you will find the Albanians eating and drinking. So in that country, do I need to ask if it's halal or not?
I think the same applies to Bosnia and Kosovo as well. One should ask just for ihtiyat, just to make sure that you find the right person. Sometimes some people would help you, the taxi driver, for example, somebody would guide you towards the right place.
From YouTube, Assalamu alaikum Sheikhna and Sayyid alaikum salam. Can a woman travel without her mahram?
She can, unless there's a facade, corruption, or danger on her. Then, of course, she needs someone to be with her.
From YouTube, Assalamu alaikum Sheikhna. Cursing the enemies of Allah are allowed, but is it allowed to make jokes about these cursed enemies?
And overall, the enemy is an enemy of Allah Azza wa Jal. So, to make jokes, that's also part of the cursing. You're actually cursing them from Allah's rahmah, to be away from Allah's rahmah and mercy.
From YouTube, Assalamu alaikum Sheikh. What are the Maraja or the scholars' opinion on Muhammad Mirza Akhbari? I don't know who Muhammad Mirza Akhbari is.
I don't know him as well. No, I don't have any information.
From YouTube, Assalamu alaikum Sheikhna. Do jinns have the ability to influence humans, and can humans interact with jinns?
Influence, well, what is mentioned is by the shayateen is the mess, is like whispering. They can't go inside our body, for example, or our mind, control us.
Yes.
Possess, as you mentioned many times. No, they can't. Interact, yes, we have humans, and somehow they can have some kind of communication with them in the past and present. So there are people who have this knowledge or ability to talk and somehow to have some kind of connection with them.
From YouTube, Assalamu alaikum Sheikhna. Can a woman wear a wig to cover her original hair instead of wearing hijab?
No, that's also known to be as a zina. And the Quran says, وَلَا يُبْدِينَ زِينَتَهُمْ. Do not show your beauty, or do not show the beauty, their beauty, because that would be also some kind of beautification and zina, which is forbidden.
From WhatsApp, Assalamu alaikum Sheikhna. Why is the Sunni adhan for Fajr different from the Shia adhan for Fajr?
As I've said, one of these lines which were added in the adhan by Umar ibn Khattab, as-salatu khayrun min nawm, that salah is better than sleeping. I mean, you can't play with and add to the Sharia from your own.
So, Sheikh, one would argue, saying that, he used his ijtihad. When having ijtihad, can one change the religion of Islam?
You have ijtihad muqabil al-nas, as they say. Ijtihad opposing the text, the Holy Quran and the Sunnah. If it opposes, then you have to reject this ijtihad and throw it in the bin straight away.
Fair.
Yes.
So I think I answered everyone's question. From YouTube, Assalamu alaikum Sheikhna. Until what age is a person considered an orphan? So let's say there was, a 10-year-old boy or girl, they've lost their father and so forth. Until what age is this person considered an orphan?
Orphanage ends by the age of adolescence, bulugh. That's it. It ends.
Fair. From WhatsApp, Assalamu alaikum Sheikhna. I didn't know Hakam will answer question about Hajj. Okay, but now I saw someone is asking, so I will send my question. Okay, the question is, if I have taken a loan from a company where I am working and I've still not completed my installments, i.e. my loan is still not paid and some balance is to be paid, is it permissible for me to perform Hajj? I have a debt, Sheikhna, I haven't paid off my debt. Is it still permissible for me to go to Hajj?
I mean, what is mentioned in the books of the ulama, that if you are mustati', which means you have the means, the money to go to the Hajj, and when you come back, you have the money to live and pay your bills and be able to pay your rent, for example. Otherwise, you can't. Because if you come back and you're, let's say, poor, you can't pay your bills, you can't pay your rent, then that's not istita'a as well. So istita'a is both ways. So when you go, and when you come back, you have the means to continue your payments and to pay your bills and so forth.
Fair. Another question here. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. I've recently converted to Islam. I wanted to know, what is Sharia law and do we have to follow it? This is from WhatsApp.
You see, each country has their own laws in Europe, they have their own European law, for example, to do with the traffic system, to do with health, to do with the social matters, with marital issues in the courts, for example. Each religion, they have their own law and legislations in Christianity, for example, Hinduism, other religions, they have their own laws. Islam also has his own or its own laws with regards to what is allowed to be consumed, what is not allowed to be consumed, how the marriage would be proceeded in terms of when one can get married or divorce and so forth. So it's part of the law, but of course the Sharia means it's a divine law, which is taken from the Holy Quran and the tradition and the sayings of the Prophet ﷺ and his family.
Fair. More questions coming in. Assalamu alaikum. This is a good question. How much profit are you allowed to make in Islam? Is there a limit or a cap, Sheikh, now to making profit in business when it comes to Islam?
No, you can be a millionaire as long as you're helping the people, the poor people. You're paying your zakat, your khumus, you're paying sadaqah, you're helping others. You participate in charities, for example. Be a billionaire, not even millionaire. Why not? But make sure that you don't transgress and don't oppress others with such money. You know, sometimes, because the Quran says, إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَيَطْغَى أَنْ رَآهُ اسْتَغْنَى. The one would become tyrant when he is rich as a result. So make sure you don't reach that stage like Qarun. The story of Qarun, you can read it in the Quran. How he became tyrant by owning such amount of money and wealth.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. This is from WhatsApp. I've seen some people praying in the mosque with shoes or like leather socks. They don't remove them when they walk in or out of the mosque. Is this acceptable and allowed?
One should respect the sanctity of the mosque. So anything breaches the sanctity you're forbidden. So you have to make sure that, for example, to make najasa, blood or urine in the mosque would of course break that sanctity. One should straight away wash that impurity from the mosque and remove it. So yeah, you have to make sure you respect the mosque's sanctity.
Assalamu alaikum, Sayyid and Sheikh. If a Sayyid woman marries a Sunni, will she be doing haram?
In overall, we don't really support or encourage this type of marriage, because at the end of the day, when they have kids, they have to choose to be a Sunni or a Shia. That's the problem, and that's the dispute. Unless one converts the spouse into the Shia, that would be, of course, a great reward.
Fair. From YouTube, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna and Sayyid, alaikum salam. Is smoking haram?
There's no evidence in the Sharia Islamiyya that smoking is haram. Yes, drugs are haram because there's an immediate
intoxicating factor
harm into the individual. But the smoking would be a long-term, let's say, harm or side effect as a result. So you can't really say it's haram because it's causing health issues in the next 30, 40 years. Ulama need evidence for such.
Well technically, Sheikh, eating fatty foods will be causing...
fizzy drink?
Yeah, fizzy drinks will be causing harm in the next 20, 30, 40 years. So, yeah, I guess we're all victim to some sort of pleasure. From WhatsApp, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. Is my wife allowed to make me ejaculate in any way without using any other object?
I mean, all the pleasures are allowed between each other. Of course, if they use naturally their own body rather than a tool. And
nothing najis is swallowed. And furthermore, it is consensual. Make sure it's consensual. From YouTube, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna and Sayyid. Is having a picture of a depiction of an imam without their face covered haram?
It's not haram, but it doesn't represent that imam's face at all. But as I've said, you can have such picture, but make sure you cover it when you pray in that room.
From WhatsApp, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. I am a delivery driver and sometimes I have to deliver non-halal food. Is this okay?
Serving alcohol and pork is forbidden even for the non-Muslims. So you have to be careful. You're actually serving them alcohol or pork meat. That's the problem with it.
From WhatsApp, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. Is shaving chest hair prohibited? That's a good question. I don't think the only hair, Sheikhna, that is prohibited, I think, is the hair on the face.
Yeah, the beard. Yeah, you have to keep the
And
beard.
that's it. You can shave your eyebrows off. You can shave, your head, your arms, your legs.
Yes, the beard is the issue.
It's only the beard that
Yeah,
you must
yeah.
refrain from.
Yeah.
Another question here. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna.
Salam.
When should I announce that I am pregnant to the public? That's a really good question, the Sheikhna. When should a couple, they're trying for a baby, the wife finally finds herself pregnant? When should she tell people, her mother, her in-laws, her husband? When should the family tell other people that, we're expecting? Is it straight away or once there's, noticeable physical difference?
I mean, I think this is a more social issue than a Sharia issue, or for the one to decide.
Yeah.
But it depends, really. Yeah.
Another question here, and that is, Assalamu alaikum,
Assalam.
Sheikhna. Oh, it's not coming up. Is mercy killing allowed? Right, mercy killing, to be fair, Sheikhna, I'm not sure. Euthanasia is when there's no chance of a human being surviving. So, or when the patient says, look, I can't be cured, I'm in a lot of pain, just take my life now because I can't bear the pain anymore, I can't carry on. That's euthanasia. Mercy killing is, I think, is something similar along them lines, but it can also to do with animals. Sometimes we see animals, we see an animal that's been injured, their legs gone, or they're in a lot of pain, and sometimes we can't find a doctor, we can't take them anywhere. Maybe it's better just to kill the animal here so it's out of its misery and so forth. Mercy killing, is it allowed in Islam?
I mean, for the human, it's not allowed. You have to leave him until Allah Azza wa Jalla takes the soul. Allah is the one who takes the souls. So you can't kill anyone, even in that situation, until Allah Azza wa Jalla decide to take their soul. There's the ajal mentioned for this individual.
What about for animals?
Animals is different. I mean, you have to see if that is some kind of oppression, let's say, dhulm to this animal. You have to avoid, innocently you're killing an animal, for example. Because we have narration that some animals would come on the Day of Judgment and telling Allah Azza wa Jalla that this man, hunted me without using my flesh, without eating me, for example. So even for the animals, you have to be careful not to kill animals just for play or joy or leisure. And we have ahkam about those who go hunting for leisure and not for making use of this type of hunting. This is a safar al-ma'siyah. This becomes a travel with disobedience, in which in this travel you have to pray in full as a punishment.
I see.
Because you're actually wasting your time and killing those animals without any reason or without any use.
Fair. From WhatsApp, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. What is the view on a man embracing another man with lust and go about kissing one another with sexual desire? What if they go even further and enter the domain of deviant sexual behavior? That's from WhatsApp.
Of course, that's in the Islamic Sharia is forbidden. Even if it's the opposite gender, you have to go through some kind of nikah contract to allow that woman to be halal on you as a man.
And final question for this evening, Sheikhna, from YouTube. And it's your favorite question, Sheikhna. Did Hazrat Kulthum alayhi salam marry Umar bin Khattab?
As I've said many times, it's not established, and we have to search about this more, inshallah.
Fantastic. Sheikhna, thank you very much for your time and efforts, and thank you for everyone for joining us on this episode of Ahkam SOS. Alhamdulillah, we managed to answer every single question, but for those of you who are watching, next time, please send in your questions and we'll be able to answer them live on the show. If you have a question in regards to, traveling, in regards to Hajj, in regards to fasting, in regards to charity, kafara, any question whatsoever, send it in via the WhatsApp or send it in via the social media apps which you're watching on. And inshallah, myself and the Sheikh will be able to discuss and answer all of your questions next time. Myself and the Sheikh will be back Monday, 7 p.m. here on Imam Hussein TV. Until then, have a fantastic week and weekend, and we'll see you on Monday. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
Come join me on Imam Hussein TV 3 to find out who will be behind the wheel.
Tell me your name.
رج فاطمة مالك
سمية حسين.
زهرة عباس
ياسر الحلفي.
سيد مرتضى الحسيني. My name is Amir Rafa. Yunus Dawood.
My name is Mustafa Ali Masoud.
السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين وابن سيد الوصيين السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة
May your heart be at ease, O servant of mine. I am your Mawla al-Hussein. I am the stranger of Karbala, and you are a stranger in these moments. Whoever visits my resting place, I visit theirs, and if they were put in hellfire, my intercession would spare. Did you not visit me after every salah? Did you not cry for me and wail for me? Did you not call out, Labbayka ya Hussein? Did you not call out, Labbayka ya Hussein? You have a right upon me, O my servant, and here is where you will take it, so do not be scared. O Allah, I beseech you in the name of my mother Fatima and her broken ribs.
Let the light of Ziyarat Ashura bring tranquility to the graves of your deceased. By contributing to the Husseini message, a recitation of Ziyarat Ashura will be in the name of your loved ones who have passed on. Let their names be mentioned by the grave of Aba Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam one final time.
Are you in court for raping English girls?